Well, hello there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
Hey, we're just, I think, going to dive in today because today is the official start of the brand new WW program. Less than a year after they introduced personal points, here we are with something new.
At the races, here we go.
Should we go ahead and play first to talk about the clip? There was a clip that went out from WW Laura Smith, who is the Director of Program Innovation, I believe is her title. Let's just go ahead and let her announce the WW portion. I'm going to make sure I do this bit right. Here we go.
Some news about the WeightWatchers program that I'm really excited to share with you. We've updated our program to make losing weight easier so you can get to your goals and stay there. If you've been a member for a while, think back to everything you loved about Blue, now with the latest science. So here are some changes you'll see. First, for greater simplicity, all members will have the same 200 plus 0-point foods. These are foods including lean proteins like chicken breast, eggs, tofu, beans, lentils, corn, even popcorn, fruits, veggies, and many more. This makes it so much easier to share tips and recipes with each other. With the shared 0-point foods means that now some foods will have a points value for all. These foods include foods like whole grains, pasta, potatoes, avocado, and a few others. Now, these foods are highly benefited by the points algorithm because they have protein and fiber, and they're often low in added sugar and saturated fat. What this means is they'll be super affordable points-wise, especially compared to other foods. All you have to do is portion and track them. Number 2, no tracking water and veggies to add points to your budget. These are, of course, still healthy behaviors that we want to promote, but they won't impact your points budget. 3, an easier to navigate app with thousands of recipes and more. 4, you'll still get access to your same workshops and coaches that you love, connect, and 24/7 customer service to help you at any point in your journey. We are here to support however we can. The whole reason for this program change is to make it simpler for you to reach your goals and stay there. We can't wait to hear what you think.
Okay, there it is. You know, here's something I will give WW is I do feel like they do listen to people. And I feel like that's something that they've shown over the years, especially when it comes to the program, at least. So to be a year after a major program launch, right? And it wasn't like that was a small program change that they introduced with personal points. To be a little less than a year in and making another change and a simplified change shows that I think that enough people said, hey, this is not working for me. And I appreciate the simplification because I know it was hard for us. Like when that thing came out, it was like, well, we're all on like such different plans. Like we can't share things the way that we used to. And it kind of like felt like it ruined a little community there.
And I think we all go for the simplest thing. So I remember there was some way that we shared. We all had that meal together last year, the goat cheese chicken. And it was wonderful. And I remember there were multiple steps you had to go through. We could share it and it would translate into our individual points. But I think that was probably the first and the last time I used that resource because, an extra step, we do what's easiest. So I remember Googling and, trying to search in the app to find things. But what's simpler is easier and what people, I think, are drawn to doing.
I know a lot of the recipe content creators, really struggled with trying to take all of the recipes that they had made that generally had points that were universal and give that same link that we were talking about. And I do think that it took away that community aspect because some of the feedback that people were giving, not just in our Facebook group, but also in the different meetings that were held online, was that they could be in the same house with like their husband or their brother or sister who was doing the plan. And it was hard to know if it was a good meal that they were making because the points may be one thing for one person and a different points value for another. And so I think bringing back that community aspect of we know that this dish is 7 points is something that shows that they listened.
Yeah. My dad is also doing WW, and that was a hurdle for us because I'd make the meal and then he'd go, well, how many points? And I was like, well, I really don't know because And now I got to go through and I have to put it in the recipe builder so that I can share it with you, as opposed to being able to say, well, I tracked it and here's what it is.
Right.
So, because he was on a completely different plan, because he had oats that were free. He had, I think, brown rice that was free. I think he had potatoes. I shouldn't say free. They were 0 points calculated for him. So,
and you know, I am personally, and it shows that what we talked about a few weeks ago when we were thinking about what was coming, really just, you know, stood to be true. The blue plan that was the plan, you know, a few years ago is what this one most closely mirrors. And that plan worked well for me because we said there's nothing really major, right, that Weight Watchers is ever going to change, because it's based on healthy principles and healthy habits. So fruits, vegetables, lean protein, you know, and enough points for you to kind of put in a different treat that you may want is always going to be the main pillar of the program. It's just what variation they use to make you feel like something's a little different. That kind of makes it fresh.
And I think the thing is, even on this version of the plan, if you can still do the personal points plan, if you will, on this, there actually isn't that much different. It was automatically tracking the points. Well, now it's just reworked the point algorithm a little bit more for you. And so that's now taken into account. But if you were doing well on personal points and you were succeeding on it, you will continue to succeed on this plan, because all they've done is just reworked the math a little. But healthy eating, healthy portion control, discipline, and consistency still equals the same thing under any type of plan that you do. So I do want to say that for someone who is maybe very worried, because, you know, when you get into the groove, right? When you finally get into the groove of doing something and a switch occurs, that can kind of throw you off. But just stay the course and keep tracking. If it's been working, it's still going to continue to work.
And I think that people are really upset. You do have some who are upset, because I think we all talked a little bit before we got on about, did you lose points? And for some, like, I lost 3 points to my daily target. And so maybe if 3 points meant a whole lot to me, but I can still gain them from like the exercise, you know, like the fit. I don't think it's called fit points, but whatever. Is it fit points?
I don't know what they're calling the exercise.
Activity points. I'm going to call it that.
Go with that.
Somebody yell at me if it's not activity points, but those are still added to your budget if you do exercise, and it's done automatically. But I understand that you can lament that maybe you lost 2 to 3 points, or that your points changed. But you know, hopefully you're able to see that there's some other things that may have been not been free for you, or been 0 points for you that now are.
Right.
And I think initially it was, you know, I was a little disappointed without the water tracker. I think that was something that we used to have, that it was fun to color it in back in the day when it was on paper, and, you know, seeing it back was fun for me. And the veggie tracker I did like as well, even though it was redundant, because you could, you know, if you got points for tracking it below, you had to remember not to track it at top. But when I attended a meeting yesterday to just kind of get the lay of like the new landscape, one woman shared that she felt like she learned a lot from adding the veggies, and that she ate more veggies in the past year with personal points because of that. And her perspective was that she was going to continue doing that. So I liked seeing that aspect of that, versus, you know, someone who might look at it as, oh, I'm losing this tracker, I'm not going to eat as many vegetables, or I might not remember to, you know, when we talk about our routines and our habits so much. And I think that a positive from that was building that habit, and people, you know, continuing that, because at this point it's a routine.
Yeah. And the great thing with the water tracker, so you may not get a point for drinking 60 ounces of water, but you still can track your water within the app. That's still there underneath of your snack line.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I didn't see it for mine.
It's still, look.
I don't know, Erin. Is that
mine?
I thought they were taking that away.
No, I mean,
no,
look.
Maybe.
She's right. She's right. It is there.
Oh,
it's right there.
It
is there. Okay.
It's still there. It's
That's
just, so you
good
can
to
still keep
know.
track of your water.
You're just
You
not going to get points for it.
You're not, but you were
And it
getting
was
but I
really
like that.
1 point.
right. I was going to say it's 1 point. And you know what? Then go give yourself 1 point.
Right.
Go up your seriously, like, go in and just up your activity by something and add an extra point into it. Work, Yep.
Blasphemy, Erin. Erin said, add the point with that. No, no, I agree. Go do a 10-minute walk and get a point or something.
Right? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, is that gonna, like, figure out for you if that's something that's really important and you're drinking the water, then go give yourself an extra point. I mean, like,
Mhm.
if it's all a part of the healthy plan, at the end of the week, you're only earning 7 extra points, which is the equivalent of, I don't know, eating some French fries or something, right? Like,
Yeah.
but don't blame me if you gain weight.
Yeah. 'Cause you can
No,
tell
like,
I'm really happy that eggs, that was one thing that I love, but eggs and like the chicken breasts, because those are
Mhm.
things that I really do use for protein
yeah.
sources. So the fact that was something that I always loved, and the fact that that's just standard,
Yep.
I
Mhm.
think is a beautiful thing for those who indulge in proteins like that. If you're
Mhm.
vegan and that's not your jam, that's
Right.
understandable. But this is great for
But
me.
they are still like I was looking at some of the vegan proteins because I was curious to see for me who not they had dairy come back on a lot of the things. Milk is not zero, but there's fat-free cottage cheese, and so a lot of the fat-free yogurts, Greek yogurt, etc. They actually have almond milk, unsweetened almond milk yogurt for somebody who maybe is vegan or non-dairy. That won't work for me. I think soy milk yogurt and almond milk yogurt, and I can't eat either of those. But what I'm gonna do though, is I'm gonna compare the nutrition value that's on the back of those with a coconut milk yogurt
Mhm.
and see for me, because I know So Delicious makes a coconut milk yogurt that's similar in values to the almond milk. I think it's probably the protein content in it that's going to make the difference. And so I may invent my own 0 point yogurt if it
Mhm.
matches the other two
Yeah.
yogurts.
Is there anything that you all were pleasantly surprised to see was 0 or not? Like, for me, I was happy to see that corn,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
something that is
Air
still
pop
like corn on the
popcorn.
cob. Yeah, corn 0 points.
Having
Yeah.
black beans back for me as a 0 point option, that
Mhm.
was that was great.
Yeah, for me, I definitely the corn and popcorn, but also salmon, fish in general. I don't eat a ton of fish, but I do like salmon. And I know that I chose, I think, potatoes in my personal points engine quiz. So potatoes were free, but I know we had the whole conversation about how free and 0, that I didn't eat them a ton. So I think salmon is something that I will probably eat more, and I'm happy it's free.
And Aaron
I
found
didn't
some.
realize that salmon was 0.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
Because I had initially had that underneath the personal points, but I didn't eat it frequently enough to
Mhm.
lose those
Exactly.
points.
mhm,
Yeah, I don't think I had it either.
yeah,
So it's nice.
That's a happy discovery because, I do my poke bowl. I
Mm,
always get a spicy salmon poke bowl.
mhm,
okay.
So, I mean, that still works out well for me because my salmon poke bowl has, the raw salmon. It's got
Mhm.
brown rice. I do a half and half, and so I get greens and brown
Oh, you're
rice.
gonna have to track the brown rice now.
Yep, I'll have to track the brown rice now, but that's okay.
Mhm.
And then I add cucumber and a little bit of edamame, some masago, which are like the little tiny fish eggs, and what else? I just put all the veggies on there that I can
Mhm.
veggie. I will say that I did lose the avocado in the reshuffle,
Yeah,
mhm,
yeah.
but I had to quote unquote pay for points before on the previous plan for avocado. I am
Mhm.
not going to stop eating avocado
Right.
regardless of the point structure.
yeah,
I'm not overdoing avocado. I eat half the
Mhm.
avocado and it's good for me. So, and Trader Joe's
Yeah.
has the mini avocados. Have you seen those? The little mini ones? You guys, they've got a bag of mini avocados and they're so adorable. And I eat a whole mini avocado.
Mhm.
Well,
Um,
I also want to just kind of, for those who are change averse,
Mhm.
you do have until December 11th, I believe, to like
mhm.
Great
transition
point.
to the plan. So if you're
Mhm.
like, I can't right now, you have some time to kind of process
Yeah.
it, play
Mhm.
with it, kind of hear people's feedback.
Mhm.
And I know that maybe that's not something I need or we need, but there are those who do. And I think that's valid. So,
Yeah.
I know that there are some, and I've seen some comments, from people who are really, really upset about how things are going. And I feel like that's a part of something, processing that we hear kind of with every iteration of the plan that comes. You have some who are just like, this is like a deal breaker and
Yeah.
I cannot do this anymore. And others who are like, let's just keep an open mind. And I don't think any one is better than the other.
I actually really thank you for bringing that up. And I think this is the first time that I can remember that they actually gave you time to make the plan change. And especially with it being the week before Thanksgiving, it's a really stressful time and you're trying to get your plans made for it. And then when you've got to go to a whole food adjustment or tracking adjustment, that can, add additional unnecessary stress, if you will. Now we've borne it up for the past 13 years,
Yeah.
but it's the first time we've had a choice. But yeah, that's a great point, Candice.
But I also continue to say I'm underwhelmed. I'm pleasantly underwhelmed by the change, meaning I don't feel so attacked or like, oh my gosh, this is just something I've really got to wrap my head around. It's kind of like, okay, I'll get used to a fewer points. I have to make a few adjustments, but overall I feel okay. Like I feel okay about it.
I think one thing that I think is a positive that really came out of this, I'm sure that WeightWatchers learned a lot from this change, but having the individualization for people who have diabetes, I think is something that really is going to be beneficial and helpful to people who are going through that. I know that in the meeting I went to yesterday, a lot of the chat was having to do with what's the difference for them. And I believe that the main difference is they track fruit because of the regulating sugar. So I think that's something that really helped coming out of this, because some people really do need something that's consistently different for them.
And I kind of love, I mean, like you said, I think that that's something that's not, I'm so glad you said that, Rikki, that really isn't highlighted as much. That was something that was a part of that points engine that they asked you as like one question at the beginning. But the fact that there's a whole customizable kind of plan specifically for diabetics or for those who just want to focus on maybe less sugar. I think that's wonderful. And I hope that they continue to spotlight what those changes are. So that that's understood, because I never really have you all looked at
well, I looked at it and I actually don't think, at least when it was a choice, I don't think they encourage you to do it if you're not diabetic, though.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something where they're like, if you want to do a low sugar, like
Okay.
they're like, please only select this if you have diabetes. Because I remember thinking about doing it. And I didn't, because of the kind of caveat and disclaimer that they gave.
That's really interesting.
I looked at it, and part of the reason why is when you're diabetic, you do need to count carbohydrates, because carbohydrates turn to sugar. And so my mom has type 2 diabetes, and I've been watching my mom essentially do this plan for almost 20 years. I mean, she maintained her diabetes without medication for a very long time, simply through diet and exercise. And only recently, within the past couple of years, just because of the natural progression of the disease. But with diabetes, though, you need to make sure you're eating a certain amount of carbohydrates so that you're not overloading your system. And so half a cup of rice, a banana. For my mom, she eats either a small banana or half of a banana. She eats half of a peach. She rarely eats cherries because of the sugar content and the glycemic index. So there's a lot of intentionality that goes into even just regular healthy foods that our bodies can process now. Someone who has the disease of diabetes cannot process in the same ways. And that requires, a different, a different plan, essentially. So I really commend WW for starting that program, especially for someone who is new or recently diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, especially because it is if you are serious about being able to control your diabetes, it is a big learning curve, but it can be done. I mean, my mom, she exercises every night. She either walks on the treadmill or she has a recumbent bike, and she'll switch between the two. And that shows me, even just for me, even though I don't have type 2 diabetes, the power of exercise. And my mom's not out there grinding it out. I mean, she's just doing a gentle walk like what I do every day. But that has been enough for her to reduce necessary levels in her bloodstream to help her live healthfully without needing medication for a long time. So if that's what happens in the body of someone who has diabetes, imagine what it does for us that we don't even know about.
Exercise is so key. And even with my cancer journey, that's something that they talk about to help with preventing reoccurrence and just continuing to stay optimally healthy. And that's why I'm so happy that, really Weight Watchers hasn't changed how you do get rewarded, for your exercise, and can use it as a tool to help you if you have overindulged a bit and might see some of those negative numbers that can be triggering for me in my tracker. If I see a negative number and I'm like, oh, the week is done. It's like, no, I can take some accountability and take some action. I'm going to go for a walk and get some of those points back. I might not be able to get myself completely out of the hole, but I can really help influence that. And I think that makes you more, it can help you feel a little bit more in control and less of a victim when you have those weeks that you feel a little more indulgent. So I think that's great.
So I think with every plan, every iteration, and probably that's why for us, this doesn't feel very surprising because this is probably what our 5th or 6th change that we've gone through with WW. So I think we've learned now to have like an open hand approach on it. But I feel like every iteration that they've had, we've always learned something about ourselves, and about our food habits with each plan. Is there something that you want to share that you, looking back on the past year doing personal points, that you've actually learned about yourself or learned differently about even food on personal points?
I think that I learned that there foods that I thought that I ate a lot of, frequently, really wasn't true. Kind of what Rikki talked about when she was like, I thought I ate potatoes a lot. But when it came down to having to choose it as a part of my 0-point food list, it wasn't enough to justify keeping it on. I was surprised because when I really had to analyze what are things that I eat frequently, my mind and thoughts were different than what was actually true, what was actually being put in the tracker. So that was surprising, and it helped me kind of reframe. And I noticed that I wasn't eating as many fruits and vegetables as I really wanted to when I was trying to hit the numbers and get the free points, or I wasn't able to do it as consistently as I thought I would have been able to.
Yeah.
So it challenged me to say I need to look at that.
Yeah. How about you, Rikki?
I think I learned that I need to eat more 0-point foods. So the vegetables and fruits, like Candice is talking about, I have always been more so vegetables have always been a challenge for me, even though I do love salads. I think not filling up on those has made it challenging for me, because the things that I fill up on, if they have a lot of points, then that takes away from my points bank versus, oh, there's all these 0-point foods. And if I have, more of those, I don't have to fill up on the high point things, or even just things that have points that build up across the day. So I think I learned the importance of really stocking up and bulking up on those 0-point foods.
I think the water was an eye-opening piece for me, because now I had like that little carrot of getting the point for water and realizing, gosh, it's a little bit more of a challenge for me to get 60 ounces of water every day. I thought I was doing it. I thought I was doing a good job of it. And then I realized, actually, that's magical thinking, ma'am. You are doing as good of a job as you thought you were. And then I also share the same thing of the foods that I thought that I ate every day. I realized I didn't eat as much every day, which is why I went back in and reworked the plan, if you will, so that I could have more points in the budget, so that I could go eat those things and not take away from maybe other things that weren't in the points calculation. So,
yeah. And it's weird. Water, I always keep bringing that up because I am surprised that I was not at all incentivized to try to get the 1 point. If it had been that I could have gotten more points, I think I would have, but I'm sure they don't want to encourage you like overloading on water, which is
because
really
you can
not
kill
healthy.
yourself drinking too much
And
water.
look at me, I'd probably be like, oh, I'm going to get 10 points because I ate that cheesecake, and I'm going to, but the 1 point wasn't enough of a motivator for me. But the fruits and veggies being able to get the 1 cup and everything, it still wasn't a motivator, right? I still didn't do it as often as I thought. And I still go back to what I learned about them when they took away the rewards program. I think that was the same thought. They thought that you would want to be rewarded with, here's a free gift you can get and all of these different things. And that's what they kind of figured out, like, wait a second, people aren't as excited about the rewards, or they're not as big as they need it to be. I don't know. So that's surprising, because I would say that I'm very rewards driven.
Yeah.
So I thought I would have
I'm
taken advantage.
disappointed. That's one of those things. I'm kind of disappointed that with this new rollout that there isn't. I was thinking when they took away wellness wins that something would be rolled out with this new change, with all of these changes, and I am a little disappointed that there's not something else motivation wise. Like we've taken a lot of losses. We lost our stickers and we've
I'm going to claim they're working on our avatars. They heard us a few weeks ago and they are working on that avatar. The one that doesn't make you fatter, not the one that makes you get bigger, the one that makes you float in water, like Erin said.
If I can just do Rent the Runway again, I'll be happy.
I thought, like, what would have been cool is if they gave you like maybe a discount on or you could redeem enough to be able to get a month free on the plan. Like you could earn some of that back. Like that would have been a cool thing to kind of cash in. I would do that all the time, hands down, no question.
Yeah. So hopefully, my hope and prayer, Rikki, is that even though it didn't come out immediately, like right now, that it's something that's like in the works, that they will continue. Because I can't imagine that they would take something like that away and not replace it with something.
So when I went to the meeting yesterday, I did ask that question and I made the mistake of using the term wellness wins, and the leader was like, oh, well, there's no more wellness wins, and I was like, oh, I got it. But she said there is something in the works. They just don't want it to be called wellness wins. So I don't know what it's going to be, but I think they are. I think they are working on something. I'm not holding my breath, honestly, that it'll be as rewarding as, but again, like we were saying, it didn't fully work. I just thinking back, I'm like, I remember in the beginning, I got massages from the Red Door Spa through Dash Pass. Not Dash Pass, what's it called?
Class Pass.
Class Pass, yeah. Through Class Pass. So in the beginning, I felt, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like it was really motivating.
For me, they just had a bunch of face serums and things, and that's just not quite my jam. So other than the glasses, it's what, let me try that again. So many different things motivate each of us in very unique ways, and trying to find the amount of items that can be offered that hit the most amount of people. Because I mean, honestly, if you're a WW bro, what are you buying? There's nothing.
A key ring, Erin, the key ring to hold your awards.
Right, exactly. Like there's nothing in there for the dudes of WW. So
they had a knife set.
Does
Wasn't there that switchblade thing?
Yeah, they had like a switchblade.
Yeah, I got that. I did get that with my extra rewards. But like, okay, but if you're a dude on WW, that's your only option that you have. That's the only way that you can be rewarded is with a little tiny switch. Like that's crap. Like most guys I know have a full utility one, like they don't want an envelope opener.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like the even those prizes weren't necessarily inclusive of all of WW's constituents. Yeah. So yeah, it's a hard battle to figure out how to reward people with what they want most. And really what we want is food. Yeah. We just want more food if we're just being honest, right?
To find a way to give me a donut or some popcorn, and to say like, this is not going to make you gain weight. We figured it out. You can have this if you do this. Yeah.
Pat me on my head, hand me a donut and tell me I'm pretty.
And give me a star. Give me a star. Give me a star or a sticker and we're good. But, I do want to say something that God bless them. I'm going to speak up for our coaches and customer support, because especially we can all be very, very overwhelmed right now. We're asking a lot of questions. There's like 500 people in the meeting rooms and in the online chats, and they are very limited sometimes in what they're allowed to say. There's definitely like a script that they follow, right? Because they work for WW. So I just wanted to put that out there, that if you're trying to get like answers and you're reaching out to customer support and it's taking them forever to get back to you, or the leader seems to be very tight-lipped or kind of not as detailed as you want, I've always learned that kind of give them some grace, because they're probably really overwhelmed with all of the new members and all of the excitement and concern and feelings and emotions of everything right now.
And they can't manage our emotions. It's not their job to manage our emotions. It's just their job to roll out the new program in the best way that they've been given the freedom or lack thereof in some cases, to be able to
So
do
look
that.
at their excited smile, and they're trying to wink like, just wait a second, that they're not allowed to say, and know that they're with us on there, because they have to do the plan and do it.
Right. They've
So
actually already done that's a great point. Like, they've already done the plan. That's the other piece too. Like, most of the WW leaders, anytime a plan launches, they actually have been doing it for sometimes 4, 5, 6 weeks before, so that they can prove that the plan works. Like, I think about our in-person leaders, Noelle and Heather and Nadine. They've always been on the plans before us and have said, yep, it's working.
I said an extra prayer for Nadine when I said this is coming out, so I can see her on Saturday. Like, all right, guys, wait a second. I have my notes. Let me get through the notes before you all start attacking with all of these questions.
Yes.
So that was just me from my heart to yours. I know that we're overwhelmed, because I'm seeing it everywhere. And we're not leaders, we're not coaches, we're just members like you. So there's no answers that we have that are extra. We don't have any special knowledge. Oprah's not in our ear saying this is what's going on. We're trying to figure it out just like you are. But you can see that there's just a lot. It's a lot of feelings.
Yep. But, a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. And if what you've been doing has been working, then what you've been doing will continue to work under the new plan. So that's all good news.
And before you know it, you'll be holding on to this plan for dear life. And when the next version comes and going, why are they taking away my 0 point, whatever it is. And we'll be sitting here again
now.
So did each of you track on today's plan? Did you do that? Yeah.
And I didn't really see a difference.
Yeah.
Same.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. The only thing I did, because I still don't have a Fitbit, so I won't be joining us for the Real WW Talk Holiday Hustle Step Bet that's coming up. And I'm sure you'll have heard the ad running before this, so that I'll have all the information for it. But you can check in the show notes, because we'll have the link there. But I'm planning, though, to commit to doing walking while or some form of activity each day, and then having a rest day. So I'm doing it along with us while the plantar fasciitis is almost healed. But I'm going in, like today, I actually went in and I tracked my activity. That's something that I wasn't good at before, was actually going in and tracking it. So, so I'll be doing that. And I saw that little 1 point jump up. So I don't know. I feel underwhelmed isn't the right word. I'm just like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. I just feel like it's, and even the way that, what was her name? Julie?
Laura
explained it. I mean, it was kind of like, hey, we heard from you. This is what we're doing. We'd love to hear your thoughts, but it's not like this revolutionary. I don't think they're even intending for it to feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that's just so major. It's like, we made some adjustments and we heard you, and here's the adjustments, and it's simpler and it's easier to share. Yeah.
I went and looked at all my recipes have converted over. So all the recipes are good. A lot of my recipe numbers kind of stayed the same. Some of them adjusted down.
Yay, we love that part. Yes.
I love that part. And so, yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, because that's the reward, right? It's like, I'm going to add an extra egg into that egg fried rice because it's 0,
Right.
And protein, that's pushing you towards those good habits that you wouldn't naturally do.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our review of the new program. I mean, open hands, open hands, let good things come in, let bad things go. Right.
And if you need to, I'm sure they're going to have like tons of member orientation classes, or probably things on the app. And I love that if you do pay for the membership, where you get to do the online virtual meetings, there's one like every 30 minutes. So you can hear the information over and over and over again. So
Yep.
Yeah, good point.
It's all good. It's all good. All
It's
right.
all
Well,
good.
that's it for us this week. We wish you a great week. We can't wait to hear if you decide to like really dig into the new plan, or if you decide that you're going to wait until December to roll the plan out for yourself, because you do have that buffer time that WW is giving us for the first time ever, which I think is a really, really cool option. We'd love to hear if you're making the automatic switch or if you're going to wait, and we'd love to hear how you feel about it. I lost the avocados in the plan, but I'm still eating the avocados. That's not changing. That's still
Yes.
And I'm
happening.
going to eat my 0-point corn.
We still
And
doing
we
it.
will be, I want to remind everyone that we will be taking a break next week for the holidays. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, 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 yes. All right. Happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you the following week.